When you think of all-time women's feuds in wrestling, you think of maybe Charlotte versus Becky, Bayley versus Sasha, and of course Trish versus Lita. But in today's video, I want to talk about Toni Storm and Mariah May. So, I'm Leo, this is the Wrestling Retrospective, and is Toni Storm versus Mariah May the greatest women's feud of all time? In my opinion, this feud had everything. It was a rom-com, it was a love story, it was Broadway, it had betrayal, revenge, and it finished with beautiful violence. You know, we think back from December 2023 to July 2024, when we saw the teacher and student, the master and protege, then become more about love as Mariah and Toni became inseparable. You know, they were the best part of AEW television for the majority of 2024, and they had everybody invested in their friendship / kind of relationship, and it saw the two of them go from heels to beloved baby faces, and the only issue was the shadow overcoming this whole friendship that was the predictable and yet unwanting split up of this iconic duo. And then, in a moment that will probably live forever, we saw the vile turn of Mariah May as she planted a blood-soaked shoe into the distraught head of Toni Storm while she screamed out Mariah's name, and what began was the performance of a bloody lifetime. The build to All In 2024 was fantastic. I said it at the time and I'll say it again here. In my opinion, this was the best built match on the whole card for that night. And everything about the build was perfect, from the emotion to the beatdowns, Toni Storm trying to get the better of Mariah through disguising herself. And yeah, the match itself was pretty good as well. It wasn't the best match they'd have, but yeah, even like the face-off just as the bell rang with Toni Storm putting her head down, looking up at Mariah, and you can see her nearly in tears. Everything about the match was done really well. From the blood involved with Mariah May, and then Mariah would rip out Toni's heart and rip away the Women's Championship from her, and it would be 6 months before we saw Toni Storm again, and the loss at All In took a bigger toll on her than we expected, as Toni Storm wasn't quite the same woman she was before the loss to Mariah. With Toni Storm living in the past, and she fooled us all with it doing a wonderful performance of well herself. She proclaimed that she had not forgotten what Mariah had done, and it was all kind of a play to get back to the Women's Championship, and the reveal as well was done really well. And yeah, in Australia, Storm would reclaim the gold of which she had been without for months on end, and after a brutal Storm Zero on the collision ramp, Mariah would state the obvious between the two of them, and they would need to end their feud the only way they can, in a Hollywood ending. The bed-ridden Toni Storm agreed to the match, but stated that it would have to be no bullshit, no countouts, no disqualification, and Falls Count Anywhere. And what followed was a masterpiece of beautiful, bloody violence. At Revolution, this fantastic rivalry came to an end. The Hollywood ending match was fantastic. It was the right amount of violence, emotion, and just match storytelling. I won't go through the whole match because that will take most of the day. Plus, I've done a review on it already on the channel during the Revolution review. But honestly, go back and watch it. Find the highlights. Find a way to watch it, because it is just one of the best matches of this year, in my opinion. And it finished off what is arguably one of the best rivalries and storylines in AEW history, not just for the women, but in general. It is just fantastic. So what makes this feud stand out to other feuds, as I said, such as Lita and Trish, Becky and Charlotte? Well, for me, experiencing the feud, watching it week by week play out, and yeah, like for over a year this went on, and I found myself kind of investing in the developing love story. And even though we knew, or at least like we would assume, that a turn was going to come eventually, like for myself, I really didn't want it to happen. Like, I don't know if this was the same with anybody else or anyone else, but like I was hoping the friendship was just going to carry on. They would have a respectful battle at All In, and they would continue being a partnership afterwards. Obviously that wasn't the case. The turn was done fantastically, and I love the story we got post post heel turn and post All In. I thought it was really, really good. But yeah, I just kind of got lost in the story and wanted it to carry on, and like got massively invested in it. But yeah, compared to the likes of Trish and Lita, Becky and Charlotte, Bayley and Sasha, this feud played the student teacher into lovers, into enemies, into hatred like no other women's feud has ever done before, in my opinion. It elevated Toni Storm and it elevated Mariah May to huge heights. I don't think we've seen a trajectory quite like Mariah May debuting in November and being women's champion by August. I feel like, you know, even in like the men's division in WWE, I feel like we haven't seen quite the trajectory of someone like that so quickly. I think like maybe Brock Lesnar might be the only exception maybe in WWE, but yeah, the like rise of Mariah May just was absolutely fantastic. And yeah, just like it helped the whole women's division as well. Obviously, these two, in my opinion, were the two best things on AEW television. And even now, like Toni Storm carrying on the timeless gimmick, kind of doing it without Mariah May, even though it's kind of surrounded Mariah for the majority of it, is still one of the most, if not the absolute most entertaining part of AEW television. And yeah, I mean, even now with rumors with Mariah May going to WWE, this feud wouldn't have got her to that point. You know, or sorry, the feud wouldn't. How do I put this properly? It's like without the feud, Mariah wouldn't be at the point where she can probably take a massive offer from WWE. I mean, obviously she was in Stardom doing good stuff over there. I assume I haven't seen any Stardom, but yeah, like Mariah May's stock as a wrestler went up massively, all because of this feud with Toni Storm. And yeah, like as I said, just going through it all, experiencing it all, and kind of even writing all this down, it's just been like a truly great rivalry to just experience. And yeah, that's why I do truly think it is the greatest women's feud of all time, even if we never go back to it again because they're in separate companies or just anything like that. And just leaving it as it was would just be absolutely perfect in my opinion. But yeah, do let me know in the comments down below if you agree with me. Do you think it's the greatest women's rivalry of all time? Or just your opinions on the feud as a whole in general? And yeah, we'll talk about it in the comments. Do like this video if you enjoyed this kind of thing, me going through a feud and kind of giving my opinion on it, or whether it's like one of the best or one of the worst or anything kind of like it. I can kind of do a video on. I really enjoyed writing this one. I feel like, you know, it's something I really enjoyed. So yeah, if it's something you'd like to see in the future, me going through rivalries, then yeah, do let me know by liking the video, leaving comments and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.